will now host a conversation on energy security that will be launched with a keynote speech from our Minister of Energy. We thank the Minister of Energy for being with us today, and I'm pleased to invite on stage Minister Bogdan Ivan.
Okay, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, dear President Mircea Joană, dear ministers, dear ambassadors, Mr. Presidential Advisor, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here today at such a grateful event made by Aspen, one of the greatest part of civil society, not only from Romania, but worldwide, and especially from our friends from the United States of America. I would like to be very brief because I get in the moment where everybody is afternoon or after out of session. When you speak about energy, it's not only about the electrons which are moving on the grid. It's more than that. It's more than physics. And in my humble opinion, when you speak about energy, first of all, we speak about security of our countries. Because if you remember 4 or 5 years ago, before the aggression of Russia in Ukraine, we have that blackmail made it by them with the price of gas for all Central and Eastern Europe countries. And in that moment, if we reach in average, in the last 5 years, our prices are getting more than double. In Romania, in Bulgaria, in Greece, in the Republic of Moldova, and so on. And in that moment, when you speak about energy, we speak about a part of 10% from any product in European Union, comparing with 6 years ago, when energy was only around 2% part of the final cost of any product in European Union. 5 times more in just 6 years. And in that new perspective, according with the income of the average income in Romania and with the prices, we have a very clear statistic that shows that our country, related with income of the population, are paying the most higher price of energy from the entire European Union, and one of the highest in the entire world. And this is a fact. I don't like it, I don't love it, and it's a real challenge for us as government, together with civil society and specialists from university and civil society, with our most important leaders in the private sector, to work together to figure a way how to decrease the prices. Because in the end, it's about the income of any person in our country and our countries in the region, and it's about the competitiveness of our companies around the globe. And we make a very clear strategy in our country. For example, in the last 10 years, we bring out 7,000 megawatts from base load energy from gas and coal power plants. We remove it. We don't put anything to replace that power plants. And that makes a lack of 1,500, 2,000 megawatts in every 24 hours, which you need to take from another neighbors and friends of us. And that means the main objective to bring and to have more energy in the market is to start and to get done our baseload projects based on gas, which makes Romania to have enough energy for our consumption, internal necessity in approximately 1.5 years. According with that, we have a very clear message and strategy. We want to use the European funds and the funds from Fund of Modernization in three main pillars. First, storage. We have installed and we have in process around 6 gigawatts of solar panels in Romania and 240 megawatts of storage. It's not enough. And when we have sunshine in Romania, we have sunshine in Greece, in Bulgaria, in Hungary, and we have a very cheap price of the energy when we sell it in the middle of the day. And it's energy spent without any reason. And after that, from 6 to 10 p.m., we need more energy, and we need in Romania, in Bulgaria, and the entire region, and we buy it at prices of around 400, 500 euro per megawatt in average. And in that very clear situation, we make the analyze database evidence, and our target as Minister of Energy is to invest almost all the resources from EU funds, from recovery and resilience plan to storage. The second pillar, which is strategic for us, is to invest in hydropower plants and nuclear. I know that it's not so familiar at the level of the Brussels to put nuclear as a top priority for the countries. But we reach the numbers, and Romania have the only US and Canadian technology from the former Soviet bloc installed at nuclear power plants in Cernavodă. We have 2 power plants over there. We want to make another 2 with that top technology at worldwide level. So according with that 3 concrete steps, together with one of the greatest specialists from our country and abroad, we are setting to install 12,000 megawatts in 7 years, baseload energy in our country. That will increase our competitiveness of the companies, will decrease the price of the end customer, and most important, will help us to use the new energy with a very high added value. And if you are on Aspen, which understand very well the role of technology integrated in the future, and the role of AI and quantum computing, and so on, we need large amount of energy. And I love agriculture, but I could give you an example, which I have it in my mind right now. If we want to use energy to support farm, maybe we'll have a price with €1 less at beef steak. But if you use that energy to bring it to AI factory or to AI gigafactory, we'll bring a lot of high added value. And that energy will be used very wise and will be make us as a regional leader in AI according with the plan which I applied in the name of Romanian government and the former Minister of Digitization and Economy of 5 billion euros. And for that project, we'll use and we'll have that infrastructure for Romania, for our neighbors, even for Ukraine and Turkey. And in that moment, Romania will set as a leader in energy and a leader in AI and new technology. And that's strategic. It's about security. When we will have the US flag together with Romanian flag close to the border with Ukraine, close to the border with Moldova, in the Black Sea, I hope to see the flag of US. And I'm pretty sure that that is the most important warranty of security for our country, with our neighbors in that moment. And according with that, we are working with US Department of Energy, with Secretary Chris Wright, on a very important deal, a memorandum between our ministries, with Gerald Aaron, the General Director of Energy Dominance Council from the White House, with Department of State, and we are ready to have that wonderful deal with the United States of America, with their technology, in one of the greatest leader of the region, which is Romania. We have a lot of potential. All of us know that. All of us are in love with Romania, and despite the fact that we are born here or You came here after that and you feel part of our community. But we need to transform that potential in facts. And we could make that only if we work together. Government, civil society, and private sector. And for that, I would like to thank you to Aspen, to Mr. President Joanna, to his wonderful team for that kind of events, for their expertise, for their support in a technical manner to our Ministry of Energy, to private sector, which was one of the greatest partners in figuring how Romania could be the leader in the region, not only in energy, but in AI and high added value in new technologies. Thank you very much. You could count on me, on Ministry of Energy, as a fair partner, and not only to discuss, but to get the things done. And now I think is the time to make energy great again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Minister Ivan. It was a pleasure to have you on stage, especially as you are also a fellow of our Aspen Public Sector Leadership Seminar. And we continue the conversation on energy. It's my pleasure to give the floor to Cristian Pîrvulescu, also an Aspen Fellow and the CEO and founding partner of ENEVO Group. Thank you, Cristi.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm delighted to moderate this timely conversation on energy security, regional cooperation, and supply chain. Picking up from the messages of the Minister of Energy in Romania, we meet actually at a time when Europe's energy landscape is being reshaped by both geopolitical realities and technological transformations. These themes like geopolitics and disconnection from the Russian energy sources and corridors, the global renewable boom, the supply chain resilience, the security of supply, and the integration of neighboring states offer both drama, war, attacks, vulnerabilities, but also opportunities. Renewables, reindustrialization, and regional cooperations. These themes are redefining how we think about security, cooperation, and sustainability. Today, we will explore how our region and Romania, in particular, can balance speed and stability, independence and integration, transition, and hopefully reindustrialization. We have a great panel, and please join me in welcoming Ms. Christina Verchere, the CEO of ENEVO Petrom. Thank you for joining, and thank you for being close to our programs. Ms. Mihaela Mihăilescu, Associate Director, Deputy Head Romania of EBRD. Thank you for joining. Mr. Alessio Menegazzo, the CEO and the Country Manager of PPC Romania. A great friend and a great friend of the Aspen Institute Romania. Dr. Cezara, Director of Public Affairs of Career Climate Solutions Europe. Welcome. And Mr. Mihai Drăghici, Partner, Business Consulting, Ernst & Young Romania, Energy Sector Lead. Thank you. Welcome. So, a great lineup. With your help in the room, also a great conversation for the next 40 minutes. I will start with Ms. Verchere, coming from the biggest energy company in Romania. ENEVO Petrom is deeply involved in the energy transition, both traditional and new energy projects, from gas to renewables, from gas to solar, and so on. How do you see the role of traditional energy players in leading the energy transition in Romania and the region?
Thank you, and it's always a great privilege to be here every year for this conversation, and it's fascinating to see how it evolves as we go forward, and just listening to the last panel as well. the theme of alliances, common values, I think this is the heart of Aspen, actually, and it's a great privilege to be here. And please call me Christina. You make me feel old when you call me Verchere. But anyway, coming back more importantly to your question, I think, I mean, it's, okay, I'm a bit biased. I've been in energy my entire, over 30 years now, but it's such a fascinating space, and it's become even more so because, you know, 5 years ago, it was all about energy transition, and only really about energy transition, particularly here in Europe. And now it's a big focus on energy security and how do you bring all of those actually together. And I believe actually they work symbiotically together. I believe energy transition also supports energy security, but there's a rebalance in the conversation happening. And I think that is also important because traditional fossil fuels also play an important role, and obviously we see gas is important to that. For us as a company, and the energy minister said, transforming potential, and I wrote that down, and I really believe that is happening here in Romania. I think this is a really special time in the energy sector. It is challenging, but in the energy sector, we like challenging things. That's kind of what we get out of bed for in the morning. And I see lots of potential, and I think that potential is becoming reality. If I just talk about us, we're investing more than we have ever invested. More than we have ever invested. We're at 1.6 billion euros this year. We will do the same next year. We did that last year. So we are in massive execution mode, all about new supply. Yeah? New supply is good for energy security. What we are investing in is both traditional and low carbon, so we are also decarbonizing our product. And generally, when you get more supply, it will help price, because we come back to affordability. So these big factors we are working on hugely. Renewable energy, as you said, we are working on power. Just, you know, for those of you who don't maybe know us so well, we provide about a third of the gas market, about a third of the fuel market, about 10% of the power market. We're investing in green power, we're investing in biofuels, and of course we're investing in Neptune Deep gas as well. All of them to really help contribute to change the energy supply here in Romania. And I've had the privilege to call Romania home for 7 years. And this is the most aligned I think I've seen us in terms of driving these investments forward. And Neptune Deep, I think, is an example of absolute perseverance. Logic will prevail, and it does prevail. I've always believed this, and I will continue to believe this. And when there is alignment, things move very, very fast in Romania. People don't always know that necessarily. Anyway, just a few opening comments from my side.
Thank you so much. We will come back definitely for these subjects, as the level of investment is impressive, and it's the time to do it, actually. From the Black Sea to the Western Europe, things are moving fastly. And are moving fastly in the gas sector, are moving fastly in the renewables. And speaking about renewables, in Europe, 2022 to 2024, more than 200 gigawatts of new plants were installed in the grid. That is an unprecedented development, a very, very fast rhythm and installation pace. I will go and ask Alessio, how does it feel from the distribution grid perspective, this mandatory harmonization of this need for speed for new power and new megawatts by looking at security and affordability?
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you, as usual, to the Aspen Institute for creating such a good place to debate and discuss and bunch ideas. It's a challenging period. I agree with Christina when she said we love the challenge, perhaps because we do not have any other plan B. Our job is a challenge, no matter what. So there is no rest day, there is no possibility to chill or calm down, which is a fundamental positive aspect of our industry. And I think that grids should be looked the same. For grids, there is no rest. and there can be no rest. Because since electricity was, let's say, a commodity for, let's say, all mankind, grids has been something very stable, very simple, very clear. You produce energy, the electrons moves to the production, to the household, to the customer via a grid, and that's it. In the last 5-7 years, the dynamic completely changed.
Things are not boring anymore.
No. So when we thought that, grids are the pillar of stability of the energy sector, guess what? Somebody told us that it's not true, which is very, very fine, very good, because there is a need to accommodate all investments that are being done in Europe, mostly for renewables, which we all know that brings a level of unbalances. But in the same time, the fantastic fact is that the behavior of the customers is changing. Perhaps we don't see it now in Romania, but wherever you go in Europe, you see that people do not look at energy, electricity, as something that is a given, okay, or simply a bill to be paid. People start to interact with energy more and more and more. It's becoming like internet. So when the customer starts to have an opinion and a behavior, which is not anymore the I pay the bill or I don't pay the bill, but starts to be more and more sophisticated in his need, in his way of consumption, then we have a completely different discussion on how the grid is built. So
and
it was top-down.
It's kilowatts on the rooftop.
Yes. So the grid was started as something that was top-down. Now it has to be taught as a bottom-up approach. This is the fundamental fact. If for hundreds of reasons, the most clear, at least for us, is that it was not built to be bottom-up. So when you inject energy in the grid, the grid is not prepared to receive energy bottom-up, which may seem silly for non-technical people, which I'm not, I learned in time, but it completely changed the dynamic. And with this, it also means that the dynamic of the data, the information that we receive from the customer is getting more and more and more interest. So to close my intervention, yes, building new capacity is very important. Yes, we need to digitalize as fast as possible the networks, the grids, because it's proven that investment, grids, means cheaper price. This is a fact. It's real. There is no discussion about this. But what we need to do is to prepare for what is going to happen in the next 5 years, which is a customer that is more and more included in the dynamic of energy. We need to provide to customer customized products. But customize is not clusters. It has to be somehow on a personal level. So each customer has a specific need, and this need has to be covered by energy retailer, energy distributors, which means, as a fundamental fact, that the model of the market has to change dramatically.
So we are shifting from, so we are shifting from energy as a product to energy as a service type of...
I don't like as a service because it means that people will need to pay a fee. Okay, it's energy as a service is a nice way to, I will hook you up for life. I don't like it. I think it's an interaction, okay? It's a mutual building opportunity scheme, let's call it like this. As a service, it's marketing stuff to say I will.
Smart grid was also marketing stuff at a certain moment, and everybody debated for 20 years what smart grid could mean and so on and so forth, until we reach the particular moment that you are talking about. Thank you very much for this fresh approach. So basically it's not only about the wires and the cables and the poles, it's about digitalization, it's about new type of services to to direct towards the clients and the consumers. We will come back to this subject later in the conversation, because we also have in a panel a very, very nice, let's say, title, migrating from the need for speed for renewables to something else, but I will not spoil the surprise. I would, however, go to Mihai Drăghici, because you have, let's say, wider perspective from your company when it comes about governments, regulations, policies, the business of it, the legal of it, the technical of it, and so on. So I would start by asking you, how should governments and companies strike the right balance between speed and quality in this renewable expansion?
Thank you, Cristian. It's a pleasure to be here alongside distinguished leaders and experts to discuss about the energy future. I will expand a bit the discussion from the security point and address the concept of energy trilemma. It's about the security, the sustainability, and also about the affordability. And there is also a World Energy Index which is applied, and we typically apply this framework for evaluating individual projects. I would rather elevate this topic and apply it at the level of the energy mix, or even better, at the level of the energy system, so that also include transmission, distribution, basically the entire value chain. And when we do this, we also need to acknowledge that some of the projects that we are developing and we are considering, some of them are tending more towards the energy security part, others are tending more towards the energy affordability part, and others, of course, are more sustainable. And that's perfectly fine when we look at the overall system. In my opinion, we should not look for the perfect project, which is covering everything, but we should look for strategic coherence at the energy system level. What this basically means in terms of moving towards action, what this means for us now. It will be great if we can pinpoint those strategic projects for each individual pillar. And once we have done this, to define them as such and to support those projects alongside central authorities, local authorities, and individual investors as well. And to make sure that those projects are implemented in time and with the expected benefits. Why is this important now? Mainly because I believe we are at an inflection point. First of all, Romania is a net importer of electricity. And this is our legacy. We cannot change it. This is the fact. Also, we expect a significant increase in terms of the energy demand, and we can delve later on with respect to the report Grids for Speed. So in this context, we need to decide what are the priority projects which will cover the future demand, but also the deficits that we bring from the past. Second, there is unprecedented funding available for the energy sector in Romania, thanks to the Modernization Fund. Romania is one of the key beneficiaries of the Modernization Fund across Europe. Just the Modernization Fund, roughly 15 billion euros are available. Some of them was already spent. The rest, we should spend it wisely on the strategic projects, hopefully. And third, interconnection is happening, and it's happening real fast within our region, both in terms of the grid, but also in terms of the modernization. there is a risk of not being able to have the business case for implementing some of the projects if we don't move fast, because the electricity, the network, it's connecting faster, and it's a good thing because it plays into the security pillar and the affordability pillar as well. But if we don't move fast, we may come to the conclusion that others have done it before us, or it's cheaper for them to do it, and we may lose the momentum. At TUI, we work with governance within the region and with investors, and we often see the need for an integrated approach from the perspective of the policymakers, the investors, and the innovation topic. And in this respect, once we tick those boxes, then we are better equipped to deliver on the three pillars of the energy trilemma. I look forward for the discussion in this panel today.
Thank you very much for your introduction. So basically, we've got the gas, we've got the renewables, we've got the grids, we've got the interconnections. Europe, and actually not only Europe, but the entire, let's say, world is now like a big construction site. All over, you will see plants to be built, and a lot of things that are moving. We have a problem in the supply chain, however. It looks that basically we are financing other economies than the European economy first when we are doing this. And but speaking about the money of it, all these infrastructure projects and all these mega projects cannot be done without the proper financial instruments. And I'm happy to have here one of the most important names and brands when it comes about financing energy projects. Mihaela?
Hi, thank you very much for inviting me again. I think we've met last year discussing about a very similar topic, including energy security. I'm always very happy to participate in discussing about our role in Romania, particularly on energy. And you are right. I mean, of course, we are an IFI. We are present in Romania for a very long time. We have invested a lot in the recent years on energy. But I'll start with the energy security because of the topic. And I would say that since 2022, with the war in Ukraine, we've seen more and more how energy supply is being used in a way as a geopolitical leverage. And that has increased, in a way, supply disruptions in many of our economies, including in Romania. And because of that, in a way, energy security is one of the core pillars, part of our energy strategy, which was approved in 2024. And it is applicable in Romania as well as in other countries. And alongside climate emergency and innovation. And I will come back a bit on innovation, but in this respect, I think for us, innovation is important to look into because it's very linked to decarbonization. And unlocking solutions that are not present in the market right now. In relation to these pillars, in Romania, we are focusing our investments, and now we will kind of wrap up everything that has been said. But because we are an IFI and we are demand-driven in a way, what we do, we finance whatever Romania needs, and it is aligned with our needs. So therefore, since 2024, but to be honest with you, in the past as well, our focus on investments has been a lot on increasing green capacity investments, particularly through diversification, increasing the capacities, reliability and flexibility of the national grid, increasing cross-border interconnections, market coupling trade, as well as critical raw materials and sustainable supply chains. And I think this is what energy security means to us, particularly in Romania and in our region. As I said, because of the war in Ukraine, we've seen a lot of these kind of risks materializing, and hence our investments have increased a lot. In Romania as well, I think the first year with significant investment in energy was in 2024, when half of our investments were in energy, which was like the first year after, I think, 12 years with such a record. Of around 700 million euros of what we sign every year in Romania. Last year in 2024 around 300 million euros were energy and energy security related. That comes on the back of a lot of private sector participation. We are very good and a strong enabler of private sector participation in the market through our investments, because we see private sector as being very important, as well as providing scale to our investments, but also as the early adopters of innovation.
Do you feel the entrepreneurship spirit coming to the bank and saying, I have this brand new idea to innovate? And
yes, but I will also mention that based on statistics, EU statistics, Romania is the worst in terms of innovation.
The worst
in the EU, yes. And because of that, in a way, our role is to kickstart a lot that effort. So in a way, we are seeking to finance investments that have a strong innovation component, and we have a lot of EU funds available for that purpose. But also, we are trying to integrate into our financings an innovation component. As well as, I mean, you know this stuff, that we can tailor-made our investments and our financings to whatever Romania needs, aligned with our mandate. The Romanian country strategy has been approved this year as well. And there are a lot of focuses on the private sector competitiveness, which means innovation, skills upgrade, decreasing regional disparities, as well as energy transition and decarbonization efforts. And I think with that, in a way, it's a good start to answer the question on financial instruments, because you mentioned that. It's, in a way, the financial instruments are complementary to our bilateral financing, what we provide directly to companies, large companies in Romania that need financing for large investments. Financial instruments are there to deploy small loans through financial intermediaries, through banks, to SMEs that invest in certain criteria based on the EU funds that are attached to these instruments. We have two in place, the two financial instruments that we are working right now, both of them having this green component. One is under the RRF. We are an implementing partner under the member state compartment, and we have a 50 million euro first loss guarantee that we are going to deploy very soon, that will be provided to as first loss guarantee to financial banks, financial intermediaries in Romania, to further on-lend to SMEs, large enterprises and medium-sized companies in the country for energy efficiency and renewable investments for small loans, because we need to complement this type of financings with the large ones. And there is another one upcoming that we are working with the Ministry of EU Funds on a funded instrument this time that would cover as well energy efficiency and renewables. And we'll also have a grant component attached to it, as well as technical assistance to support both financial institutions and final beneficiaries, SME, to properly define the technology that needs to be acquired and also to properly deploy it.
Very interesting. And it's worth mentioning the fact that transition is not only about producing green energy, but also about the reconfiguration of the industry itself. I would remind the fact that more than 90% of the PV panels that are installed are not produced in Europe. More than 80% of the wind turbines that are installed are not produced in Europe. We have lead times for equipment, for the big equipment in the substations for 1-2 years and so on. So basically this is a signal that there is the need for hardware. There is a need for technology. There is a lot of room for innovation and bringing the technology closer to the end consumer. Going a little bit and speaking about the end consumer, I'd also invite in the conversation Dr. Missing by asking a little bit about the European perspective and how can efficiency and the smart technology in buildings, very, very close to the actual consumer, can support both decarbonization and energy security.
Yes, thank you very much. I also would like to take the time to express a word of appreciation and gratitude to Aspen Institute and also to Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, who invited me to participate in this discussion and bring what you've just said, the German and the European perspective. To the trilemma that Mihai mentioned, I have to say that the Germans love the triangle, consisting in energy security on the one hand, sustainability on the other hand, and nonetheless affordability. And depending on certain political contexts, sometimes we see more emphasis on the climate topic, and some other times we see more emphasis on the energy security topic. But as Ms. May I call you Christina, because it's a fascinating name, said, we don't see this in Germany as a contradiction anymore. And as a matter of fact, we anchored I say we because, but the German government anchored the climate targets into the constitution for the first time. And also Germany is more ambitious in terms of climate targets than the European Union, aspiring climate neutrality already 2045. While the European target is 2050. Of course, this is also a matter of debate, but we see a chance in this transition to green technologies. And we as Carrier, and also Fissmann, the traditional German company, is now part of the global Carrier Corporation. It's the largest HVAC company in Europe. And when I say HVAC, I refer to heating, cooling, and ventilation. So our business and the technology that we're developing is very much connected also to what Alessio said about the grids, because we enable the consumers who are prosumers, who are flexumers, to participate to the energy transition. We enable our equipments, our technology to integrate in the grid system. And at the end of the day, yes, this is also something that has to do with responsibility, making the prosumer responsible for his consume, but also reducing the total cost of ownership for our equipments. And this is really very, very fascinating. And we've also invested a lot. We've invested in heat pumps, and we've invested in PV. And we see the heat pump not as a sole technology, but integrating in the whole ecosystem. But coming back to the costs. Another very important aspect that the German government put in also and anchored in their coalition treaty is reducing the energy costs. And I think this is something that also addresses the Romanian public, because I've heard before that the energy costs is really a problem in Romania, not only for the households, but also for industry, and it's more or less the same in Germany. That's why there are some concrete measures like reducing the grid fees, like reducing the taxation on electricity, which then again enable electricity to be more affordable for the consumers.
We've got also here another regulation, ETS2.
ETS2,
to
exactly.
be implemented from 2027.
Yes. Because of the HVAC industry, my perspective is very much from the building side, from the building sector. And we do have ETS, so the emissions trading scheme for the industry and energy, but we have the sectors buildings and mobility, and 2027 is the deadline for the integration of these two sectors into the ETS2, so into this trading scheme. And we see this again as a chance, but we also observe the discussion in Brussels, which is not easy when it comes to the position of the Eastern European countries, and this is very understandable. But at the same time, I don't know if you've seen, but yesterday Commissioner Hoekstra published a letter addressing these countries, and they are working on social cushioning the transition of these sectors into the ETS2. And we do need some help there, but this is a big chance in order to have an instrument that is technology open and that is not based on imposing some technologies towards the customer, but more regulating from the power of the market.
Thank you. Coming back now to the grids and the development of the infrastructure, I had the chance, and thank you, Mihai, for sharing, to see the latest report of Ernst & Young regarding the speed, the grid for speed.
Grids for speed, yes.
Grids for speed. So starting with the need for speed, we move more closely to the energy sector. It was a very, very nice report. A lot of juicy things there, but some things were to be highlighted. Demand for copper, aluminium and electrical steel to build out the distribution grid. Energy transition to create potential shortfall in copper supply within the next decade. Lengthy public procurement processes not fit for grids for speed. Urgent need to recruit, train, and upskill workforce. And so many other things. Can you give us a little bit of numbers and summary about what these lines are actually touching?
Sure, sure. Just wanted to highlight that we've prepared this report alongside Euroelectric, the Federation of the Electricity Industry, covering more than 3,500 companies in the power sector across the value chain at the European level. And one of the key conclusions of this report was the need for investment in the backbone of the energy transition in the grid distribution. The figure that was highlighted in the report was 70 billion euros, 70, per year at the European level for the next 25 years. And just to put it into the context, this is roughly 2 times the current investments being made in the grid at the European level, roughly 35 billion euros. Where is the need coming from? Well, first of all, again, it's a bit about the inheritance. 30% of the current grid at the European level, it's more than 40 years old, and we need to replace part of it. The second point was looking at the future and at the demand for electricity. The forecast that we've included into the report was that the electricity demand will grow by roughly 80% in the next 25 years. Again, to put it into the context, 30 years ago we were consuming 2,000 terawatt-hours at the European level per year. In the last 30 years, we've added 500 terawatt-hours. So now we are at roughly 2,500 terawatt-hours. And the expectation is that we will reach 5,500 terawatt-hours in the next 25 years. The key drivers for the demand are, first of all, electrification of the heating, the heat pumps. Roughly 20 million heat pumps are now scattered across the European Union. The expectation is that this would reach roughly 250 million by 2050. Second, the electrification of the industrial processes in the context of the decarbonization and the prices of the CO2. Third, electric vehicles. There are now roughly 9 to 10 million electric vehicles at the European level. The expectation, again included with our colleagues and with Euroelectric, it's close to 250 million electric vehicles at the European level in 25 years. So all this being considered, there is a significant need for investment in the grids to support all those challenges. There is a need of flexibility if I will stop here, but if time allows, there is a very interesting point on the vehicle-to-grid system and the battery energy system and how this can be used for the flexibility. I will tackle only if we have time for this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We've heard a lot of very, very good ideas and highlights, from big to small, from large investment to consumer-type household, let's say, applications and optimization. Christina, where do you see Romania's opportunities when it comes to energy transition?
So maybe I will add a different dimension, but build off one, because I really believe there's a really very important thing, I think, that's going on, and it's really just about geology. And right now, we have good gas development going on in Romania. We have gas development going on the Turkish side, in the Black Sea, in the waters there, and we're getting ready to do exploration activity in Bulgaria. So, you know, the western part of the Black Sea in our language is basin opening, it's play opening, this is the way we call it, with regards to opportunity. And that is I think, really important opportunity for Romania to really solidify itself as a big gas hub player and to take that position in the market. So I do see this as a really big opportunity. In the energy transition, gas plays a very important role. In all aspects of different paces of the energy transition, the European Union stays a net importer of gas. And why not make it homegrown? When it's homegrown, it's indigenous, you're paying taxes in the country, you're paying jobs in the country, and you're really making the economic side rather than importing it. So I think this is a really important aspect of the energy transition that Romania, along with the geographical neighbors here, can really put its mark on the ground. And I think this is a moment of differentiation, and we should grab it.
What about the foes? What are the challenges to...
The challenges. So maybe I think the challenges is, and this is a big, maybe a comment with regards to European Union, is that the positions I think that we have taken in the European Union, I think, have been restrictive. I feel that we have gone very bespoke on certain technologies and more from a penalization than a incentivization. So I think we should be much more technology agnostic and to drive the energy transition rather than picking certain ones. And I mean, as I said, we're doing a lot on power, we're doing it on biofuels, we're doing it on EV charging, but I'll use one example that we see right now is carbon capture and storage. The European Commission put out a target of 50 million tons to be stored by the end of the decade. Anybody who is around this topic said, wow, you know, actually it wasn't until about 2024 the European Commission said CCS should be part of it, and then it moved very fast. Romania picked up 20% of that obligation, despite having only 3% of the manufacturing emissions. So we've got some real imbalances going on because actually we're locking ourselves into technologies. And it's not that, you know, I think carbon capture and storage is really important in a net zero world, but we need to be practical about timing, bringing emitters and storers together. So that's just an example, I would say, of a challenge that's coming. And so we're doing a lot of conversations and advocacy in the European Commission saying, please be technology agnostic, particularly as we set out the 2040 goals. I think this is a shift we need to see happening in the European Commission.
Thank you so much. Alessio, PPC was successfully driven Greece renewable transformation, doing the same in Romania. Can this renewable boom drive the true reindustrialization and reshifting of our industry by creating local content? And where will your company champion after 5 years?
You know who always wins? Reality. Reality always wins. I will deviate a little bit from your questions. I was thinking about what Christina was saying and the other colleagues. Yes, we need to be agnostic, but we need to be agnostic and smart. Because down the road, in 5 years, 10 years perhaps, when whomever now is producing gas household boilers will not produce them anymore, because they are switching, all of them are switching to heat pumps, because electricity is more efficient than gas. So and this is not a pledge against gas. It's an incentive to think for policymakers in a smart way. Okay? What is the opportunity for Romania? So do we want to have, like it was 15, 20 years ago, when second-hand cars were invading the country? So to get all the old technology from other European countries that will not use it because they have something that is more efficient, more customer-friendly, more affordable, more cheaper, more empowering. So today, we need to decide where do we want to be as a society in 5, 10 years. And of course, we as a company, the same. So I would like to champion the opportunity for the end customer to choose and to be agnostic, smart, and to be having real power in deciding how he can use his power. I want really to champion this. In order to champion this, there is, and this is my, let's say, obsession, we need to have coherent policies. We need to have coherent policies and we need to have ambitions. Because we are facing a situation today with high prices, with a market that is not properly working, because of lack of ambition, lack of vision, and thinking that the Romanian customer, consumer, industrial household is to be treated cheap, which is not the fact. Customers, consumers, needs to be treated by respect, by the companies, by the regulators, by the policymakers. And there is a need of having ambitious policies looking forward in order to give opportunities, not to disincentivize investment or reducing, I don't know, digitalization in the grid as much as possible because this is a burden for the customers. It's not, it's proven that in other countries, renewables, digitalization of network, investment in innovation brings price down. This is reality winning.
Thank you very much for this powerful message. I would address one of the final questions to Mihaela in order also to look a little bit to the region, because Romania is developing. We are putting megawatts, we are developing and so on. We are sophisticating ourselves, and I think Alessio's speech was clear enough in this matter. So can we somehow, to say, spill this development over the borders? When we look about bordering countries and regions where we could act now, because it's needed. And I'm referring to the Republic of Moldova, I'm referring to Ukraine, and so on and so forth. Do you feel the capital is also moving with the projects naturally in these areas?
So we are present in both Romania and Moldova, of course, and throughout the years we invested a lot in cross-border connections with Moldova, on gas, as long as we could finance gas, and now on electricity. And I think the story is that you need interconnections, first of all, to be able to transfer knowledge and innovation and energy to Moldova, and through that, through Ukraine. So we are investing in these cross-border interconnections, first of all with Moldova, but also we're happy to do that with other neighboring countries as well. There is a facility that is now being deployed for a high-voltage line connecting Romania and Moldova through Suceava-Bălți, that is co-financed with the EIB and the EU, and the aim for that is also to ensure this knowledge transfer, to improve, to upgrade the infrastructure in Moldova, to connect the markets, and not only Moldova, but Ukraine as well, in the ENSOE, through Romania, and I think that has happened already. In a way to integrate, first of all, initially Moldova into the European market and Ukraine whenever that's necessary. So of course, anything that we finance in Romania, we could finance in Moldova as well. There is more need in Moldova, as you rightly pointed out. And I think the fact that now there is political stability in place and Moldova is on a clear path towards EU accession, there will be a lot of opportunities actually that we could look into Moldova and Romania-Moldova as well.
Thank you so much. Cezara, last remark?
Just a short remark. I wanted to salute and to support Alessio's pitch, customer-centric pitch, because customer centricity is indeed at the very core of our DNA as a carrier and FISMAN. And indeed, digitalization is happening massively in Germany. And I think because we were talking about good practices, right? What good practices we as a company and we as a country can communicate. And I think this speeding digitalization, rollout of smart meter, and everything that enables the customers to participate to the grid. And also enables the renewable energies to be integrated in the electricity system is something positive. But also the technology agnosticism that Christina mentioned, this is something that goes hand in hand with the ETS, with the European trading system, because this is an instrument which is market-based and technology agnostic. And even if it leads to making gas, oil, and also as fuels for the building sector and for the mobility sector more expensive, the money stays in Romania. And with what the European Commission is trying to do now is to make sort of front loading, so to enable the states to have the money ahead of 2027, so that the people have the incentives to invest in renewable technologies like the heat pump, for instance, so that the impact when the ETS comes and the CO2 prices become really high is not so strong and doesn't affect so much the population, because we have another phenomenon which also goes hand in hand with the energy security topic, is this right shift of the policies across Europe. If we see France, if we see also in Germany, where some right wings are becoming very, very strong, and we have to take people along. And this, and also in the respect of supporting the green targets, but also this customer-centric aspect that we don't have to forget, because it gives us let's imagine that the customer is at the table, and this already puts everything in a different, very pragmatic perspective.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, dear panelists. Time runs fast when you are having fun. This happened also with us. So, Mihai, with your permission, I think we'll move the EV subject over a glass of wine during the business night owl program this evening. I'd like to thank you very much for your content, for your substance, for your ideas. I think we highlighted the real aspects of and the most critical and important subjects on our agenda. It's clear that energy is not anymore just a commodity; it's a strategic asset, a geopolitical instrument, and a driver of modernization. With this in our mind, I would like to thank you all for attending, thank you all for participating, and see you next time with the Aspen Energy Program and the other Aspen programs. Thank you.